Yes. 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 Right. So a histogram. Okay. Well, we'll make sure we include that this morning. Okay. Um, I want to do this one thing. I think we should have a health break out of mercy for people, and then and then maybe I'll try to get that in the next session. Okay. So, folks, I'd like you to open main. Open main, and I'd like to drag on what's called a time plot, which is it's down here in the analysis section, and you'll notice there's a thing called time plot, and I'd like you to drag that on here, okay, and drag it over, and in this time plot, I'd like you to enlarge it so it's a little bit larger. Some of you may want to, depending on your screen real estate available, you may want to sort of make it full window just to have it a bit larger. And what I'd like to do is to do add data item, press the add data item button, and then I'd like you to do it so that we can plot out some of the statistics that we've been talking about. So we're going to click, again, having selected this time plot. Who needs a TI here? Who needs a TI? TI? No? No? Okay, so we click on time plot. I did add data item to get this. And then I'd like you to put down an item to be plotted. In this case, it'll be the number of susceptible people. Now we defined that statistic earlier. We saw that it was printed out, but I'd like you to say we can request it directly. The name of the population, you'll recall, is called people in this model, and we can call that computer. And you notice now if we say people dot, there's a set of things that we can press. Does anyone recognize some of these things? Do you recognize the first two of these? Where did those come from? We made them. Those are our statistics. So having made those statistics, you can now request those statistics, as we'd say in computer science, programmatically. In other words, your code here, as part of the time plot, can request one. So we can, for example, graph, let's make it count susceptible here, okay? So we'll graph count susceptible, and maybe for the title of this, we'll call it susceptibles, or count susceptible, okay? And now let's run the model. Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll teach that lesson in a bit. Okay, so I'd like you to run this model and run this simple experiment, okay? And we can run it out, and you'll notice it's running out. But something happened. What just happened? We had something that looked kind of good there, but look at that. It's going down, and boom. What's going on? Can anyone see? This is a frequent occurrence in my experience with AnyLogic. What's for people new to this? What's going on? So it goes down, and what? Can anyone see? What's happening there? Why is the good stuff disappearing? I mean, after all, it's here. I'll slow down the model so you can kind of see this. I'll turn off so-called virtual mode. This is an essential to know about. This means run it flat out, run it as fast as possible, this sort of thing with the double speed. But if you turn that off, then you can sort of make it go slower or faster. Watch this. I'm going to make it go kind of at normal speed. Well, that's going a bit slow for me. I'm going to speed it up with this. And then watch this, okay, so it's still going out. It's going out to about oh gosh. So it's scrolling over. Folks, we need to do something about that scrolling. So let's go back to the time plot here. And if you scroll down, what you'll find is there's a time window of 200. Oh, sorry, of 100. We want to switch it to 200 because the run length is 200. How do I know the run length is 200? How can I go figure out what the run length is for this model? That's actually a little bit of a trick question. How do I find out what the run length is right now? That's not a trick question. Good. I go to the experiment. It's the experiment at issue that I'm running. running. And the key thing is that it's specific to that experiment, and I got a model time, and I'll see it says stop at specified time 200, okay? Each experiment I could set different times to stop it. So let's go back to this time plot, and we want a time window of 200, and we want to display up to, now this is also a confusing thing for people, display up to how many recent samples? Make it 200 samples. Why 200 samples? Well, this thing is, this is going to be sampling it periodically you'll notice it says update data automatically with recurrence time of 1. Do you see that? So in other words, it's measuring it every day, and we wanted to show it for up to 200 days, because that's like the simulation display up to 200 of them. Frankly, I find this, it throws a lot of beginners off when you have those two things, because you kind of got to go futz around and figure out what's going on. Mm. Okay, so that's a great question. What it's actually doing right now, Alexander, is every time unit, in this case day, it's counting the number that are there and just plotting that. Okay, so if you wanted cumulative number, we'll talk a little bit about how that can be done. Okay, but this is the graph we're getting out right now. We're not running this thing flat out. If we wanted to, we could do that virtual, so-called virtual timeout. But this is the graph we get out. Okay. So this is a graph of susceptibles. We could graph out, something like the number in poverty or what have you in a similar line, although that's not dynamic unless we change the slider. Okay, so anyway, so that's some essentials there. I think we'll break now for a minute, for about 5 minutes, and then maybe we could come back here.